Hi, welcome to a new video dedicated to the new Eachine product. This is a Trashcan 75. It's nothing else than the 2S upgraded version of their last 1S popular model, such like the US 65, UK 65 and so on. Thanks to the new 0803 brushless motors and a new variation upgrade of the flight controlling board, now you can fly such kind of machine even in 2S configuration. You can still fly in 1S for, I would say, more indoors application, but if you need more sporty capacities, you can now, thanks to two LiPo in parallel, power the machine in such setup. So what we have, I think we have the last micro electronics ingredient available in the market. For the flight controller board, a new F4 board with a built-in USD, of course, with ESC supporting 6 ampere out of the box with a peaks of 7 ampere, so not a problem for even for 2S voltage. We have a smart audio compatibility with the new video transmitter built-in one, and also the output power can be switched from 25 milliwatts up to 200 milliwatts, so even more ideal for outdoors application, and is not over. The FPV camera is also upgraded for a new Cadex model, 1200 TVL, so super high resolution, but you have to know that in fact in practice it doesn't scale for the CVBS transmission, so whether in PAL or NTSC, but to have a super high native resolution at the first processing step is a good thing. But on the other hand, what will be the extra latency introduced by this super high definition sensor, and what will be the increasement of the ratio, signal to ratio. So it's another open question associated with such kind of new camera. So, and the machine is not over. What we have a full pack, okay, and thanks to this new F4 Crazy B flight controlling board based, we have also at least two versions with some built-in SPI receiver, so either with a CC1500 for the more with some fierce sky in D8 or D16 application. So for the D8 you can bind in with whatever European or non-European transmitter, so don't need to flash, for example, your Taranis for a non-European firmware, or if you whatever plan to fly in D16 mode, you will need a non-European firmware, so you will need in this case to flash your firmware Taranis radio. Is not over. We have some LED bar, okay, for some lights application, and voila. So definitively we have all the last ingredient in terms of electronic, and we will see if it's really the good trade-off between outdoors and indoors applications. You have to know that usually for outdoors, sometime when you are making some power loop, some stuff like this, you can feel a lack of power, even if you apply the prop out configuration. For information, this one comes directly with the prop out configuration in order to even increase the stability for acro figures. So now it's time to discover this bundle. Okay, as usual, let's start with more the accessories. I will start with the instruction manual, and like the last Eachine or Deluxe project, we have a very nice one unique but color printed papers where you can find the basic specification, so about 33 grams without battery, etc. The role of each two LED rows for the video frequency and the video band, okay, the role of the switch button, for example, if you want to manually change it, but I said it's supporting smart audio, so the best situation is to do it thanks to your radio sticks. We have the full list of the 40 channels supported, so racer band is here, of course, and you can also apply some command to change it, okay, so three-way, either by this switch button or some command in the CLI part of Betaflight, or even better, in my point of view, in your local field thanks to the OSD, you can change everything from the band, the channel, and also the power between 25 or 200 milliwatt. This is definitely the best situation. Another point added, and it's really the cool features. Remember, for example, the UR65 or the US65, the bind button sometimes was a little bit tricky to access on the front right situation. Here, thanks to the beta flights coming with, so we have a beta version of the beta flight 4.0, the new branch. No need anymore to press the bind button to access to it. We just need in the CLI to type the bind command and it's entering automatically in the binding. Run the procedure on the radio and it's bound. That's great. So no need to use a super thin branch, a tweezer to access to it. That's definitely a pretty cool feature I really like. As I said also previously, the receiver, here it's a FieldSky version, so based on the CC1500 RF chip, and thanks to the SPI you can select either to flash or to use the FieldSky X, which is nothing under the D16 mode, so 16 channel, and or it is not the case by default, you can turn more in D8 mode. So if you want to fly with, I would say, a former radio, Taranis radio and so on, whatever, strongly advise more to turn in D mode. Why? Because first, we don't need 16 channel for a small FPV racer. Second point, we can reduce the latency to 11 milliseconds. That's a gain, okay. And more, we have the compatibility, third point, on most of the FieldSky radio, whatever, with the European or non-European firmware. That's pretty cool. So as I said, I will recommend more to turn the SPA receiver, built-in receiver in D8 mode. Another point, fourth point, in D16 mode, you can notice some, eventually some drop, some receiver drop, okay, so I don't know, because probably in beta flight, the FieldSky D16 mode is not super well yet 100% bug-free implemented. Okay, so we have also how to plug the battery, and we will explain if you understand how to change between the 1S and 2S. And here we have the role of the camera, and here the built-in LiPo charger. Okay, we have one to charge in both the 4 batteries. We have some PH20 connector. And this USB charger, I will show it immediately, got a micro switch to turn either the charger either in LiPo classic, so with the maximum series up to 4.2 volt, or in LEHV, okay, in 4.35. By default, when the switch is on the left nearby the USB port plug, you are in LEHV. So it's the correct situation for our Trashcan 75. Okay, so we have 2 connectors, the 2.0 or even a very smaller 1.0 without any problem. Another solution to know if you are in LEHV or LiPo, when the light is on the upper left, you are in LEHV, and if you're on the lower right, you are in LiPo in another way. So the red light will turn on when it's charging and will stop when the charge is done. It's not a great charger. I strongly advise to use a more professional. So let's continue now to describe the accessories. We have a screwdriver. We have 4 black props. They are exactly, I can give the exact dimension if you need some, and I will start to give some indication of the weight. So for example, the weight of each props is, I will weight that is ending the tearing, okay, and so the weight of each of them is about 0.8 grams, and if you need the exact dimension, they are classic about 40 millimeters, okay, exactly. We are about 40 millimeters props, and with a hole about 1 millimeters, maybe 1.5 if I'm not wrong. So I have to be checked, but in worst case, yes, seems to be a little bit larger than than 1 millimeter. So probably you will need to add some stuff element on your shaft if you want to use these props in other machine, etc. So we have 4 black, okay, and what we have also in hand, we have some 2 3M Then be aware also we have super tiny screws also in the bundle, don't lose them. So 3M, okay, we have Allen key, okay, for assembling or disassembling your 0803 motors, for example, a prop remover wrench, okay, and also we have a small plug here is to turn the machine either in 1S or 2S configuration. So if you plan to fly more indoors, please just add in one of the two connector or power lead connector this extra plug like this, and then it will do the electric connection to fly it in 1S. Okay, very important to not lose it, okay, if you plan to alternate between one indoors and outdoors conditions. What we have also, if you are sure, for example, that no, I will fly this machine only in outdoors, I will strongly advise immediately more to solder this free XT30 connector, because the gauge is larger and the power and the amperage supporting by such kind of gauge, wire gauge will be better, and you will exploit much more efficiently your machine in 2S configuration. Okay, so if you are sure that no indoor application for this trash can, please turn in. And let's continue. We have some basic screws. So some are for attaching the top canopy. We have 3, 1, 2 here, the larger and black one, and super tiny here behind. Okay, and what we have also, we have some basic screws here. The white is more to attach the motors, so don't lose them, because, and be sure that the first time to secure the them, why not with some Lockheed blue ink to a thread locker to be sure. I will give immediately the weight without battery. So this machine weighs 33.9, so close to 1 gram more heavier than the advertised without battery. Probably they didn't take into consideration the built-in receiver and their characteristics. But let's say in 1S configuration, we turn into a 41.4, and in 2S setup we are in 49.5, so a little bit less than 50 grams. Not so bad, but let's compare with, for example, the 1S US 65. Okay, it was 28 grams, and it was not the lightest. The UR65 is even lighter. You can turn down to 26 grams with the US 65, so 2 grams. So we are close to be twice more heavier than the US 65 with the battery. So take into configuration for indoors application 50 grams in 2S setups, and the kinetic energy can be not negligible in such situation with 50 grams. Okay, we have 0.5 multiplied by the mass multiplied by the square of the velocity for the kinetic energy. Don't forget that, never forget that. So we did the tour of the accessories, and let's continue with the machine. Let's start with the frame, and this one is not bad at all, and you can feel, for example, in some detail that the all extremity of the branch are double to be sure that to minimize the risk to break the frame at this part. So here, 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 and here we have 4 points of attachment for each tiny whoop duct system. Okay, and thanks to this dual brass, I don't know how to call that, but in my point of view and in practice, it's much more robust. Is it indestructible? Not. Okay, so don't be wrong. In full speed on a very hard surfaces, concrete, some stuff like this, the frame won't resist a long time. Okay, but at least it's reinforced everywhere here, here. Okay, maybe the weakest point is on the LEDs. Okay, here, so attached with a very small connector. So if you don't really need this light, you can save a fraction of gram by desoldering this one. Maybe you can save 1 gram. It won't make the huge difference in 2S, but why not? Maybe you can save, you can gain 10 extra or 15 extra seconds like this. So we have the red props by default, and the red color is pretty good. And had the other form model, the new FPV camera. It's a 113 sensor size, so we should handle the light even more better. 1200 TVL I said, but the higher TVL doesn't mean it's much better, because we have in general more latency and more noise in the video signal. So it's always a trade-off. But whatever, the lens orientation can be adjusted, okay, from 0 degrees, and okay, you have to untight a little bit these lateral screws, okay, and it's Allen key if I'm not wrong, so you please take this one in the bundle, and you can adjust between 0 degrees, for example, for more indoors or more aggressively, okay, you can do it. One remark, I noticed also that due to this installation, okay, and due to the high power of the motor, we have some vibration, okay, you can notice some vibration. So one way to isolate them is probably to install a piece of foam bottom, okay, to be sure that it's not vibrating too much, or completely on the bottom side, okay, in sandwich between the top red canopy and the flight controller board. It would be the best option to completely kill them. Don't worry, it's not absolutely not catastrophic, but you can notice that it's not perfectly geo-free, okay. No yet a perfect product. We can find here on the bottom side the 2.4 GHz antenna, so I advise more to install it more vertically to be sure to avoid any prop accident, okay. And maybe you can see here, we can see on the flight controller board, I will use this screwdriver, we can see a small green wires, which nothing else than the smart audio control wires, okay, if that's pretty cool. So what I like everything. The new structure is pretty cool. It's a very good plastic. I like the built-in smart audio's capacity. I like the new bind function. Wow, great. Was a little bit my annoying point for the former 1S generation. Is not the case. Look that the motors are attached via some connectors, so to swap a motor is pretty easy. Would just take a couple of seconds. To change the board or to change the frame would also take only 5-10 minutes maximum. That for maintenance is really great. The sensor is great, well protected. We have a field of view of probably about 120 degrees. It's 2.1 millimeters focus, okay. So what can I say? 6 ampere at peak, so no problem. G-Shot 600 not supporting the new 32 byte version, okay, but it's still absolutely not bad at all. So another good news, almost everything is pretty well configured out of the box in terms of Betaflight. I mean the flight modes, I mean the OSD information layout, I mean also the receiver section, okay, it's done out of the box, but in D60, okay, and what I can say, and the light also, we have also the light pre-configured. So I would say the main positive point of this machine that Eachine staff took time to optimize in terms of PID, in terms of OSD layout, in terms of everything. They optimize everything. So for this, bravo. Okay, that's definitively a good point, and the time spent to fine-tune your machine will be drastically reduced. So for me, that's also one of the most positive elements. I would say the most negative is okay, maybe because I like to fly indoors in brushless, because I saw some of the UR65 in the US. I'm not sure I will fly this machine indoors anymore, okay, because at least you need to live in a large house, etc., because you won't hurt someone or a pet, someone, but maybe you can break something in your house, some stuff like this. So it's not zero danger free, okay. So that's probably the only drawback I can find. So now it's time to go in Betaflight configuration and describe everything, okay, and I will maybe, if I can, or adjust with my little own personal choices, probably more in terms of fly mode, switch, assignation, some stuff like this. Let's go. Okay, so let's now discover a little bit the default Betaflight configuration. So I will take the machine, okay, and plug into my USB port. You have to know that I already did 2 small changes out of the box, but in the droidmania.com default configuration file, you will find the exact default factory file. So if you install correctly the driver, STM, and etc., available COM should appear as soon as you plug the machine. Okay, and you just need to press connect. So as I said, each time I strongly advise to dump all the default information, but let's check the current version install. We have the new beta flight branch, the branch 4.00, still in beta stage version. And as usual, I strongly advise to dump, okay, by the dump command. Copy and paste all this information, or you can click here, save to file, for example, and you will be able to then restore the factory setup. Very important point, and I will show in a few instants, is by the CLI now you can bind your machine. So for that, I will start more the tour, and when I will enter more in the receiver section, I will return to more the CLI section. So, okay, let's go now to the port. And okay, sometimes you need to disconnect and reconnect to be sure that the connection is done. So we have the normal setup, etc. So just the 0 accelerators. So let's go to the port. What is very important, the USB for the F4 plug is here, but the UART one is the smart audio port. So be sure, if you flash a new version, to apply the TBS smart audio protocol here. Okay, and you can see that we have a free UART 2. So if you, I don't know, plan to do something else, but probably with such kind of size is not really possible. So don't forget for the UART 1 to turn on the smart audio protocol. Let's continue with the configuration. Here we have the prop out configuration. So now the front left motor is spinning counterclockwise, the right clockwise, and so on. So in order to reduce the motor bending, you know, when the machine can suddenly feel some altitude, especially after a figure of flips or a power loop, some stuff, or a power diving, some stuff like this, then it will reduce a little bit. And more, if you have some herbs, it will eject the herbs, the grass, outside and not on the lens, so another advantage. So you have to turn on the option so that the motor direction is reversed, and of course in your BLLE configuration you have to inverse the sense of rotation of the 4 motors. This axis 100 is turned on by default. We have 4.5% of idle. Okay, we have the default 0 frequency, so you can see that the CPU load is 16%. Oh, I'm a little bit surprised, because with such frequency I would expect more, much less, about 3-4%. So maybe another task is turning in the background, but it's 8 kilos, but we can push probably to 8.8 without too much difficulties. No specific board alignment is done. We have the name of the machine, okay, and here I already apply a change. By default, you are in SPI RX protocol, but you are in FearSky X, so here's this one. And I changed it to the D for more of the D8 version, for the reason I already mentioned in the previous part. More to be free of any potential close range radio drop, okay, radio cutoff. So it's one way to fix this problem, and also that it will reduce a little bit the latency and so on. So it's better, in my point of view, to, and more, whatever you have, a jumper radio like this, or an original Taranis X7 and so on, you don't need to flash new firmware on your Taranis radio, so that's cool. The RSSI is not output because it's in SPI receiver, so everything is transmitted via the SPI bus communication. We have the telemetry turn on, we have the LED strip and the OSD. That's great. We don't have anti-gravity, so it's up to you if you want to turn on immediately everything. One thing is not pre-configured. This is the D-shot beacon configuration. So if you want to use your ESC motors as buzzer, you will have to turn on this one. Okay, so the configuration out of the box is not fully perfect, and you can select the tone as soon as, but it's just from loud to treble sound, so it doesn't change really the volume. You will have to play more with a barely configurator or barely suits to change this volume. Let's continue. We have the default, so I will save that. Okay, so now it's time to reconnect a bit, or maybe I will need one more time to reconnect. So we check that everything have been well saved, because sometimes I've got some surprise. Okay, the power battery, we have the minimum cell, so 2.9. So I think it's already taken into consideration that there will be a huge voltage drop and the load. Okay, with this battery, despite to be I can remember well the discharge rate, but something about 60 C. So, but it's probably not enough even. So you can see that the voltage is minimum cells voltage is pretty low. So under the chemistry of the battery, but be aware to not go too below. And I'm afraid that the flight time will be drastically reduced, especially in 2S. Okay, but whatever, be aware of that. Okay, the fail-safe is the default one, so no problem. Let's check the PID. Okay, and oh, you can see that for the YA, we have this PID first. Okay, so with the I value of I and for the YA axis, the G value sounds to be correct, and we can see that for the pitch and roll axis we have something close to 1000 degrees per second, which is not bad, but for the yaw axis is super fast. So for me it's a little bit too fast, so I prefer to apply something more linear. So I will drastically reduce this one, in fact more here, something applies 32 and apply more something about 2.0. Okay, so to have something a little bit more than 600 degrees, so I can apply something like this. Okay, 600 degrees for me is okay. You can see the level strength 50 for both angle and horizon. Okay, and what we have, let's check if we have some specified filter settings. Okay, out of the box seems not. We have the classic filter. Okay, so not really a big modification. Okay, but we can see that the PIDs, we have some specialized one done by Eachine out of the box. So I will save that. And let's go to the receiver section. So I will use my jumper. Okay, a jumper universal quasi radio here. Okay, so you have to know that the channel mapping is not exactly the same than the Taranis one. So by default you are more in the Taranis configuration, something with the spectrum. So the first channel is throttle, aileron, elevator, rudder. But since I will fly this one with this one, so I will apply more the PSK default one. So starting with the aileron, elevator, throttle, rudder, and so on. So be sure if you have one of the both PSK compatible radio to select the right channel mapping. So you can see when you remove the stick for testing that you will understand quickly how to fix that. So I will also apply some deadband because it's always useful. So something value of 4 will be always useful. Be sure that all the sticks will be between 1050 and 1900. For me, I will push in the mixer, okay, something for all the 4 channels, something between 1000 to a little bit less than 2000 to be sure that to be in this range. Okay, so I will save and I will turn on the radio. Okay, and in fact I already pre-bound, but I will show you how to proceed. So I will go to the model menu, model setup, and okay, be ready to press the bind button here. Okay, so I'm ready to press bind. Okay, I will need to press the big one. Okay, here to validate all, and it will enter into the binding for the radio. But how to proceed for the Trashcan side? Go to the CLI. Also, we press save here if not already done. I will go to the CLI, and now just type the bind command. That's all, and it will write binding, enter binding, and that's all. And after a couple of seconds, you will hear your Taranis, your jumper beeping, and you are done. So just reboot everything. trash, unplug your USB, replug your USB, reconnect to Betaflight, and you are done. So I already did it, but it's super simple right now. Okay, so I will reconnect, and now I will show you that the job is done, and I got, you look that I've got my if I apply, I've got here the switch for dual rate, but I am about between 1000 more or less to 2000, so more or less all the 4 channels are centered on the values of 1500. I got some switch here. Okay, this one, the left one, the 2 left 3-way one are some 3-way, and I've got also somewhere, I can remember well, maybe no, I didn't program it, but I can add also 2-way. But for me, I will use, for example, the aux1 to either harm or in the middle position more to activate the buzzer, and the aux2 more to select my flight mode. Okay, so it's I like to do recently. So okay, let's do it, but let's check first the different mode. So you can see that you have the harm in the default arming sequence is aux1. Okay, so I will play more when the switch will be in upper position, and as I said previously, I will activate more the beeper. Okay, on the aux1. Okay, and when it's in the middle position like this, so I will save that. Okay, so actually it's not beeping because we have also to play a little bit with the default Betaflight settings and barely, but as you can see, we have arming here in upper position of the first aux1, middle is to activate buzzer, and 1 is just to be normal. Okay, not arm. Okay, so now I will play more with the aux2 for the flight mode, so something like this in angle mode in bottom position of the aux2, horizon. Okay, in middle, so I will select the middle, and let's say pure acro mode plus anti-gravity and so on. So we push like this, select the aux2 here, and I guess I need also to apply the blah 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 blah, the where is the etc. Where is the air mode? Okay, air mode is already done, so I will select more like this. I will save that. Okay, so it's correct. Okay, like this. Let's check that I am in horizon mode. What I want to do, I need also an extra channel to also activate the I forgot to mention the flip over crash. So the aux3, okay, here, this one. So I will keep it like this. It will be my other 2-way position, and it will work. So I will activate. So you have first, when you want to flip your machine, to disarm, to turn on this flip over crash switch, then to rearm the machine, and then to play with the left and right to rotate your motors, and then disarm, disable your flip over crash features, and rearm in normal flight. Okay, so it's the first time a little bit tricky, but can be done very easily. So I need a third switch, 2-way switch to turn it, but I don't want to do it, but it's the same. I have to do it on my radio in just a couple of seconds, but I want to continue a little bit. So let's check a little bit the information, the motors, the OSD, okay, and one indication that the camera by default is in the pale, in NTSC, sorry, format. So I will turn it in NTSC. Okay, you can see that now all the value is more on the layout. I will disable the craft name because I don't really need it, and it will clear a little bit my view. So we have the main battery voltage, not bad. So okay, maybe a little bit more higher. This is the timer too, so the time span harm, okay, the RSSI, okay. We have the voltage, the amperage draw, and here the throttle input could be nice to show you how much throttle input you need, for example, to perform a power loop and some stuff, and the current flight mode. So everything sounds to be pretty well configured out of the box. Maybe some slight adjustments, I will say. Oh, very important, I like to change the font because I like something more larger, so I will use the clarity one. Okay, and I will upload the font into the machine. It will take just a couple of seconds and after all the letters will be much more wider on the screen on USD, and I'm getting older, so so it's a good thing. So the USD is done. There was not a lot of work. So let's continue with the LED strip. Oh, we have also everything here. So let's check the first one. We have a Larson effect. Is just a color one. We have just a basic Larson effect, that's all. So if you want, for example, more to apply, I don't know, a warning or indicator, so let's say, for example, the two first one for the left and the last right one for the right, and so on. You can also turn on the indicator from the two external ones. It's up to you, but I will leave it like this because I will fly mainly FPV, so I don't really care about this Larson effect. So for me, well, pretty well configured out of the box. We did the tour. Now, moment of truth. We go in the field. We check the amount of power in 2S configuration, and also what will be the amount of jello in the video FPV signal linked with the extra vibration in 2S configuration, and also what will be the flight duration. I guess about 2.5 minutes maximum, maybe 3 minutes, I'm not sure. And be aware that the LEHV, even if they are more powerful, the number of cycles of charging is also lower than the normal LiPo, so be aware, don't abuse of them because they are very fragile in terms of chemistry. Okay, so now let's go in the field. Welcome to the demo flight of the Eachine Trashcan 75. Well, we fly with my neighbor garden, and they made some change. You can see that now there is a kid garden, so we'll have more obstacle to fly around, etc. But maybe I will fly a little bit less sporty. Anyway, so I inserted a piece of foam between the flight control board and the top canopy structure. Okay, and we fly only in 2S because I think it's the most way to go for this Eachine Trashcan. I will keep first the PH20 connector, okay, and well, I advise more to install the XT30. Maybe an intermediate choice will be to install a simple red GST connector, because most of the 2S LiPo battery comes more in this red GST format, so could be an alternative option, because also the red GST can handle 50 or 20 ampere without too much difficulty. What maximum this machine can draw in a high 100% full throttle input. So another remark for the tuning of the video transmitter, at least for the output power, you have two output powers between 25 milliwatts or 200, and you have this physical switch here on the bottom right side. Okay, you can long press to switch to output power, but if you plan to do that with the OSD, be sure that you, in the smart audio part, you will have to select the 800 milliwatts to be in practice the 200 watt, and whatever the output between 25 and below 800 exclusively, you will be in 25 milliwatts. So okay, so if you want to turn 200 milliwatts via USD, select the 800 milliwatts on it. Okay, it's done. Another remark also, you cannot out of the box select all the 40 channels. Some are limited for the US, etc. So for example, the very lower for example Boscam frequencies are blocked by default. Maybe there is a way to unlock, probably yes, but anyway I will fly in a normal situation. So let's go. We fly first in lost condition. It's completely wind free, thanks, and just give you an overview of how punchy are the the full throttle inputs and then go more in FPV. Go. Okay, it's harm now. You have to. Okay. Wow. Sometimes you have some drop. Okay, I noticed, and when that happens, it means that you have something blocked into your close to your props. Okay, so be sure to tune that no thing is here, and it's a common problem reported despite I'm in D8. So I will rearm the machine. I think it's still up. No. So be sure to arm the machine fast. Okay, now I'm okay. Okay, let's see a punch out. 1, 2, go. Wow, not bad at all for such machine. Yes, since that the prop wash is minimum. So let's see in beginner. Yes, nuts. Super beautiful machine. Yes, feeling beautifully in line of sight. Sounds to be super precise. Let's see another punch on. 1, 2. Oh my god. Yes, and the approach wash sounds to be reduced, but absolutely not bad at all. It's fast. Yes, even after a U-turn, a fast U-turn is pretty good. And it's super precise. I'm still in loss and the machine is not drifting, so it's good sign for the gyros. Now it's time to go more in FPV. Let's conclude about this Eachine Trashcan 75. Well, first things, it's probably the most ultimate tiny whoop FPV machine I ever flew. It's great, very powerful. For 2S is really enjoyable. It's precise in lost condition, no deviation, no bias. Okay, versus time. So the gyros and accelerometers do an excellent job. So that's pretty good. It's pretty powerful, no problem for acro figure. No really a lot of wash during stabilization during your hand of your acro figure style. So that's pretty good news. Thanks to this small piece of foam, I reduce considerably the amount of gyro. Is almost not noticeable. It's durable, as you saw. I crashed it many times because I just discovered this part recently, so I'm not accustomed at all. Be aware with the antenna, okay, to be sure that it's not detached, okay, so versus crash. So be sure eventually to add a piece of glue on the connector, okay, because you can burn your video transmitter, built-in video transmitter, if detached. So please check, especially after a crash, if this antenna is not moving, even it's bending in the correct sense. You have to check that. What I like, the everything. Really, I like everything. Pretty nice machine. So almost the perfect machine. Okay, just some piece of details to check, to improve a little bit. For example, the flight duration is not impressive. You have something about 2 minutes 45 to 3 minutes, okay, in, I would say, in normal acro style. If you are flying much more aggressively, I think it's reduced of about 30 seconds less, so it's not impressive at all for this point. So definitively you have to go to change the for an XT30 connector, Red GST connector, to have a more powerful battery. The structure is solid, everything is solid. The Cadex EOS 2 camera did a good job, even if I noticed some not a dead pixel on it, but some be aware you have to clean it regularly. Small details, the battery, when you insert the battery there is a gap, free, loose, okay, you have to insert some piece of foam to, or a rubber band to completely secure the battery installation. Another maybe a small drawback, but by the way, I recommend this machine for sure. Could be my really daily winter time proximity field machine. Really, I recommend it. And Eachine, you did a really good job. What we can improve on it, just small details to reduce completely the little amount of gyros, increase the battery duration by installing a more powerful one. I think a 350, okay, should do the job correctly to at least to enjoy 3.5 minutes of flight time. And what we can improve of, nothing really else. Oh, just notice that each time you are starting the machine after a new session, after a couple of a day, for example, for the first throttle input, you can have some a receiver dropout. I don't know why. Maybe a first battery swag. I don't know. Even in G8, so be sure that nothing is blocking your prop. But I noticed that in different videos that the first input, poof, the machine is fallen. But after, no more problem at all. So I don't know. A kind of momentary micro battery swag. Okay, in the flight control board. Maybe it can be fixed soon. I don't know, by a firmware upgrade. I don't know why, but I really like this machine. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video. Always please submit if you like my channel. Please subscribe, of course. Okay, and see you next time, because I receive a lot of new machines now. So bye bye.